At 40 years old, he was broke, divorced, living out of his car. Most people looked at him and thought, it's over for this guy. But here's what nobody tells you about men who succeed late in life. Their biggest breakthrough didn't come despite their failures. It came because of them. Today, I'm going to show you the psychology behind why some men seem to wake up in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, and then quietly outperform men half their age. And if you feel like you're running out of time, stay until the end. Because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see yourself. Most success content is built for young men. Hustle at 22, build a startup at 25, retire at 30. But what happens to the guy who didn't follow that path? What about the man who spent his 20s figuring out who he wasn't? Who made mistakes, lost time, maybe lost everything? Psychology has a very specific answer for men like that, and it's not what motivational YouTube channels usually talk about. Today we're diving into 3 psychological forces that explain why late bloomers often build deeper, more lasting success than the guys who peaked early. Let's get into it. Point 1. The shadow effect. Your failures are building something. Thoughtful building energy. Carl Jung, one of the most important psychologists of the 20th century, had a concept called the shadow. Your shadow is everything you've buried, your regrets, your failures, the version of yourself you're ashamed of. Most men spend their whole lives running from their shadow. But here's what Jung discovered. The men who stop running and face their shadow become extraordinarily powerful. Because when you stop pretending your failures didn't happen, when you own your darkest chapters, something shifts inside you. You stop being afraid. Think about it. A man who has lost his marriage, his business, his sense of identity, and rebuilt himself anyway is not afraid of a tough phone call. He's not afraid of rejection. He's not afraid of starting over. That man has been to the bottom, and that's psychological armor that no Ivy League degree, no early success, no privilege can give you. The late bloomer doesn't just succeed despite his past. He succeeds because his past burned away everything that wasn't real. What's left is iron. Point 2. Neurological maturity. Why the brain of a 40-year-old man is a secret weapon, educational, slightly faster pace. Here's something neuroscience has proven, and almost nobody talks about. The human prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term thinking, emotional regulation, and complex decision-making, doesn't fully mature until your mid to late 30s. That means the 22-year-old entrepreneur who crushed it early was literally working with an incomplete brain. But you, at 35, 40, 45, you have full access to the most powerful decision-making hardware in the human body. Studies show that men in their 40s demonstrate higher emotional intelligence, better risk assessment, and stronger strategic thinking than their younger counterparts. They're not slower, they're smarter. Warren Buffett didn't make 99% of his wealth until after age 50. Ray Kroc built McDonald's into a global empire at 52, an age when most people are planning their retirement. Harlan Sanders, yes, Colonel Sanders, was 62 years old when he franchised KFC after a lifetime of rejection. These men weren't exceptions to the rule. They were following a psychological pattern. A fully mature mind seasoned by failure doesn't make emotional decisions. It makes calculated ones. And in the game of life, calculated beats fast, every single time. Point 3. Individuation. The process of becoming who you were always meant to be. Jung had another concept that I believe is the most important idea for any man watching this. He called it individuation. It's the lifelong process of becoming your truest, most complete self. And here's what makes it powerful for late bloomers. Individuation accelerates through suffering. When life strips you down to nothing, when you lose the job, the relationship, the identity, the plan, something unexpected happens. You are forced to ask the question that most men never ask. Who am I? Without all of that. That question is terrifying. But the men who sit with it, who go through the darkness instead of around it, they come out the other side as someone that the world cannot easily shake. They're not performing anymore. They're not chasing someone else's version of success. They are themselves, fully, completely. And that authenticity is magnetic. People trust them differently. They lead differently. They build differently. Because they're not trying to prove anything anymore. They already know who they are. And that, my friend, is the quiet superpower of every man who succeeds late in life. I want you to hear this. Society has sold you a timeline: succeed by 30 or you failed. Build wealth by 35 or it's too late. Hit your peak by 40 or you miss the window. That's a lie. A dangerous, psychologically damaging lie. The research doesn't support it. History doesn't support it. Jung doesn't support it. Neuroscience doesn't support it. What the evidence does show: men who go through adversity and keep going, men who face their shadow, use the power of a mature mind, and commit to individuation, they don't peak early. They peak exactly when they're supposed to. You're not behind. You're being built. If this video resonated with you, I want you to do one thing before you leave. Drop the word "built" in the comments. Just that one word. Because I want to know how many men watching this are still in the process, still being shaped, still building something real. And if you want to go deeper on the psychology of masculinity, purpose, and late bloomer success, I've got videos coming that will change the way you think about yourself. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, because the men who need this content most are the ones the algorithm isn't showing it to. Let's change that together. I'll see you in the next one.